won round 1 at Daytona. And the IROC rewards for finishing positions and laps led. So as we look at the points, you see that Earnhardt is on top. But here at Darlington, they will line up in inverse order of the points, putting Earnhardt in the last starting position. Now, this track surface here is incredibly rough. So rough that it gobbles even the best of racing tires in only a few laps. IROC officials, therefore, have decided that sometime after lap 30, they'll bring the entire field in, give them fresh rubber, and send them back out together to give them a competitive advantage. So the 12 beautiful Dodge Avengers are started and rolling. Let's take a look at the field. In row 1, 2 road racers, Tom Kendall in the number 12 silver car, and Scott Sharp in the number 11. It's an aqua-colored machine. In row number 2, Jack Baldwin, a road racer, in black, and Danny Sullivan from Indy Cars in red. In the third row, in the teal car, is Jeff Brabham. And in that gold car is the sprint car luminary, Steve Kinser. In the fourth row, Rusty Wallace drives the pink car from NASCAR Winston Cup Racing. And Kyle Petty is alongside in the purple car. In the fifth row, the cream car belongs to Mark Martin, number 4. And Dale Jarrett in number 3, the white car. And in the sixth and final row, Al Unser Jr. is in number 2, the yellow car, and Dale Earnhardt is in number 1, Evans Orange. And of course, the numbers here indicate their position in the points coming into this race. The first 2 rows closed in nice and tight. Tommy Kendall in the silver car had some spectacular practice times and seems to have adapted to this track well. He knows he's going to have to protect the inside line, though, if he's going to be successful. Here's the green, and here we go. As Scott Sharp gets the early jump, rolls into the flag a little bit faster. Kendall slides backwards. Baldwin drops to the inside in second. Danny Sullivan is running high, and Jack Baldwin takes the lead.
And, you know, Kendall just couldn't get his car running. I saw he got on the gas, but he might have had it in the wrong gear, Paul. Baldwin, the guy leading the race right now, is running also in the Busch race, so he's got a lot of experience compared to some of the other new guys, rather.
Busch race had practice here early this morning. Scott Sharp gets himself in real trouble and slides backwards as already the Winston Cup cars look for racing room, and they try to come up as fast as they can. It's still Jack Baldwin, but look right behind him. That is Petty. Kyle Petty has moved into second. The pink car of Rusty Wallace now working on the back of Steve Kinser trying to catch up.
We always know the best part of the passing or the most passing is going to be right after the green flag, and sure enough, that's what happened. The rest of the guys are really feeling hard and looking for a way to get around. But remember another thing. As the race goes on, the passing becomes a lot harder because the tires go away.
Mark Martin got into a good position just ahead of Kinser. And now Rusty Wallace tries to move on Kinser as there's the order. The black car, of course, is Jack Baldwin. The purple car is Kyle Petty as Kyle now closes in. In the meantime, in fourth place, that's Mark Martin beginning to close up. So they're lined up with Baldwin now trying to hold off Kyle Petty. In third place, it's Danny Sullivan.
Baldwin would like nothing better than to have a regular Winston Cup ride. This is a good opportunity for him to showcase his stock car racing skills, particularly if he can hold off Petty.
At the front of the field, the fight continues. In the meantime, Earnhardt is beginning to cut his way up through the field as expected. There he is. He's already picked up 5 places and now works at the back of Dale Jarrett's car, and they should hook up together.
The tough thing for Earnhardt is to pick up places without burning down that right front tire. Look at this.
At the front, Kyle Petty tries to make a move inside of Baldwin, but Jack's not having any of it.
And it's tough to go down there on the inside, because if you go too low at that point on the track, then you swing up and you're high and you can get repassed.
But it's also the easiest place to pass. Now watch here as they go into turn 1. Not much passing usually happens here, but coming off of turn 2. This is where Kyle should be trying to get a run, right here at Baldwin. Down the back straightaway, hopefully he'll pull out now and pull alongside. This is what his game plan would be at least.
Fight for the lead here as Kyle Petty again takes a look down to the inside. The yellow flag comes out. Caution on the speedway. The word was debris on the track, but the yellow flag was flying. I'm not sure whether or not it was just before or just after the pass was made. Best guess is that it came out just as Baldwin. There's the problem. That's what's caused the yellow. But you saw Kyle get around Baldwin. I think he did it on the flag, and they'll come back into the order just before the flag. We'll be right back. And it looks like Kyle Petty has a bit of a souvenir off of Kinzer's car. Part of the bumper looks stuck right in the front end of Kyle's car. Back to green flag racing. Baldwin at the front, followed by Kyle Petty and then Mark Martin. Kinzer moves to the inside of Danny Sullivan. Now Kyle works up and high. 3 cars battle for 4th place. Still Baldwin on the backstretch. Look at Mark Martin as he moves down to the inside. Martin drops back in the line. Very tough part of this racetrack. Kyle Petty now trying to hold off a very hard-charging Mark Martin. Jack Baldwin still has the lead. But, guys, it's hard to pass in 3 and 4.
Tough place right there to pass, Sam. It's almost impossible if you're running near the same speed.
And the track it doesn't feel as banked into turn 1 as it looks in the camera.
So Jack Baldwin, Kyle Petty, and Mark Martin runs in 3rd. Kinzer is 4th. Rusty Wallace is 5th. They're changing the distributor on Tom Kendall's car. Jack Arut's right there, and will keep track of it.
All right, watch Jack Baldwin. Watch how late he starts this turn down into 4. You have to hang up there next to the wall, turn down at the last minute. They say it's very tough to see the right moment to turn because the windshield's in your way. It's tricky all the way around this track.
We also said earlier, Jack Baldwin is running in the Busch race, so he's had a lot of laps of practice out here, and he aspires, Sam, like you said.
Mark Martin alongside to challenge Kyle Petty now. Fight for 2nd. Not much of a challenge at all as Martin moves to 2nd.
And that's the way to pass it. That's what we described a little while ago that we thought maybe Petty would be doing on Baldwin. That's about the easiest and best place to pass right here at Darlington.
This is an experienced driver on this track looking at a man that's virtually a rookie. So watch the differences as they head down there into the far turns 3 and 4. And watch Baldwin stay high, high, high. Now he's suddenly going to turn down, trying to pick his moment to get that apex. You turn too late, and it understeers. You stay. It pushes right up against the wall.
I'll tell you what, that was a nice little corner, though. Bobby, the turns 1 and 2 are entirely different than 3 and 4.
Well, all 4 turns, Paul, are ironically different. This is coming off of turn 2 over here now. This is where the passing usually starts, but they're all different, and you have to run in a different place in all of them. And as we go with the onboard camera, you can just look and see the turns being different. Here now, they go right up against the wall. Now,
Mark Martin sees his opportunity, moves inside Baldwin, and boy, he overhauls him quickly.
Now that really got my eye because it's very seldom that you see a pass right there. That shows that experience really overcame being a rookie. You know, even though that Baldwin's had so much time in the Busch car, that wasn't obviously enough to hold him off there.
Kyle Petty takes a look to the inside while Kinzer spins it, and Kinzer gets it against the wall. At the same time, Jarrett comes down and catches the inside wall with heavy damage. Steve Kinzer lost the back end. We got just a quick glimpse of it, and boy, when he lost it, it sent everybody flying everywhere.
Now watch Rusty Wallace on the left of your screen in the pink car. I thought he might have made contact, and there's the proof right there.
Yes.
It was Rusty Wallace who pushed Steve Kinzer. And there's Jarrett, who was, as you said, Bobby, trapped in the situation, nowhere he could go.
It looked like Earnhardt was in there nice and tight, but I don't.
The pink car, Rusty Wallace, he just turned Kinzer right around.
Earnhardt catches Jarrett, something big in the back.
Yes, pushed him right into it. Poor Jarrett just had it every way there was to go there. No way in the world to get out of it.
Well,
and of course, Steve Kinzer was 100% innocent also.
They're still clearing off the wreckage of Dale Jarrett's car, and we'll be back for the restart here at Darlington right after this. Back at Darlington, ready to go back to the green. Steve Kinzer, Dale Jarrett are out of the run. 10 cars are on the circuit. Out in front is Mark Martin. Jack Baldwin is in 2nd place. Kyle Petty is in 3rd as they will come back to the green flag. Jack Baldwin led the first 9 laps. Mark Martin got the lead just before the accident.
Well, you can look, Paul, when they come down for the green, how the guys all jump out and start going for it. Remember, the tires give away first here faster than anything. Getting the lead, changing the lead, passing somebody right away is really important.
Kyle Petty now runs very, very low as Rusty Wallace comes in behind Baldwin in a battle for 2nd place, and Mark Martin pulls away.
I said Baldwin would make himself tough to pass. He wants to show the Winston Cup regulars and their car owners that he could fit right in.
Right there is where he got past a little while ago, and I noticed Sammy's running a whole lot lower than he was when he got past. He was running a little bit too close to the wall, too long a time there.
Dale Earnhardt now moves to the inside of Rusty Wallace. this pack in that bright red car. Boy, look at Earnhardt. He comes in, gives Wallace a little bit of a tap. He goes by on the low side.
There's a hard place to pass again. Dale Earnhardt, I watched him this morning in his Winston Cup car do the same thing to some guys.
Danny Sullivan is sticking with it. So is Jeff Brabham in the teal car just back there. Once again, 2 cars out of the run. Steve Kinzer and Dale Jarrett as a result of that accident. Mark Martin leads.
Dale Earnhardt in the orange car there. He spent most of his off-season wearing a tuxedo. He wore that almost as much as he wore his driving suit because he accepted so many awards at so many banquets.
Earnhardt, the points leader, coming into this round 2 of the IROC. Trying to thread his way up through the field.
Even though Earnhardt did a little bit of bump a little while in that accident, it didn't hurt his car at all. He's just as clean as can be.
Al Unser Jr. slows it down and takes it off the track. This could have a massive impact on Little Al's bid for another IROC championship.
Obviously, he's got an engine problem, Paul. I noticed smoke coming out from underneath the car, which is 90% chance it's an engine.
Well, they've been talking about overheating as a problem here. The rubber that's being ground off those tires getting up into those rather narrow cooling vents.
And so you know, Paul, those cooling vents that you look at right there are actually full of screen wire to keep the rubber or the debris from going on into the radiator. So what you can't see there is a screen right behind it, and it just fills up with ground off rubber, just like you said.
And of course, when it does that, it blocks the coolers, then the engine overheats, and you're in trouble. Mark Martin leads it. Now we look back to second place as Kyle Petty continues his challenge of Jack Baldwin. But Baldwin is having a spectacular day and holding on.
Now watch him right here. He comes back. Well, he's going to came right back
Kyle
down.
gets all the way down on the flat of the track to try to get past him.
Well, he's been watching Baldwin stay high, and he says, I'm going to have to pass this guy on the inside.
Bobby, the funny thing is, I was talking to Kyle yesterday. He reminded me that back when this track was built in 1950, you see Earnhardt now making a bid on the outside of Kyle Petty. He said they used to run down there on the flat. They didn't even use the banking. Look at Earnhardt pull off that outside pass. He's passed low. He's passed high. Earnhardt is really hot.
So Earnhardt moves into third place now to challenge Baldwin. Mark Martin is still the leader.
So far, Earnhardt's pass had to be the best one of the day after this point. To pass a guy in good Penny on the outside in an IROC car that's so evenly matched, almost impossible. There's Danny Sullivan.
Danny Sullivan in trouble as well. During the red flag, they were working on his engine. They were complaining about overheating. Mark Martin is the leader here in round number 2 of the International Race of Champions 18. We're back at Darlington, IROC 18, round number 2. Mark Martin is still the leader, followed by Jack Baldwin. Now that mandatory pit stop is coming, but the best indications are from Danny Sullivan's overheating. Jack IROC, there may be, in fact, an even more serious problem here today.
Well, Jay Signori and the crew have decided that what they will do during the mandatory pit stop is take a hose to the back side of each radiator. Now, you may wonder, why don't you force the water through the front of the car? Well, if you've collected debris, especially small pieces that have found their way through the wire mesh, it will simply clog up the radiator more. The idea is to force it through the backside and dump it out in front of the car.
Well, for the moment, the IROC crew is going to work concentrating on the change of tires. There, the right front is changed on Jack Baldwin's car. This is being repeated up and down the line. Jeff Brabham's car, Scott Sharp's car. In the meantime, let's go to Jack IROC.
Well, let's see if we can show you clearly what the screen problem is. If you notice on the front grills, there's an area of coarse screen. Then look directly behind it, and there is the very fine screen that Jay Signori was talking about. Well, the separation between the two has created a trap, and that's where the debris is literally blocking off the air inlet area into the radiator and causing the overheating.
Well, this overheating problem is much more serious than anticipated. Drivers now climbing out of their cars.
Well, you see Jack Baldwin there and Dale Earnhardt. Whoever thought that the drivers would be out of their cars in the middle of an IROC race? Kyle Petty. Now they've got a short sprint ahead of them, and they're relaxed, ready to go.
But one car seems untouched by this problem. It sits up at the front of the field.
Well, as we look at leader Mark Martin's car, it looks as if you haven't had serious overheating problems.
No, this car's running real cool, and it's running good, too. It's really handling good, and I couldn't be happier with the way things were going. I just wish I had to run all 60 of them without a yellow.
Is it the fact that you've been running up front, does that account for the fact that maybe you don't get as much debris as some of the people in the back?
Well, this racetrack is real bad about collecting debris on the grills, and it helps being out front. It certainly does.
So Mark Martin, as they restart, will be in front. He'll have a continued advantage.
Well, he certainly will, Paul, but remember, a lot of the other guys want to get back in front. They know now that it's more important than it was before because of the radiator problems.
In the meantime, down pit side, some of the drivers are helping the repairs.
Well, Dale Earnhardt of Kannapolis, North Carolina is a former car owner, and he's taken his position very seriously in looking for IROC points. He's made an adjustment to his car with the IROC mechanics, adding some additional screening in hopes of solving part of the rubber that's coming up and finding its way into the grill area.
We'll be back for the restart right after this. Tommy Kendall, the silver car. Remember, he was in very early on and spent some time in the pit, so he is not on the leader lap with Mark Martin. All of the rest are. And, of course, Dale Jarrett and Steve Kinzer were out in that accident early on. There's your interval, first to second.
Mark Martin, of course, had that terrific 4-race winning streak last year, and that 4-race winning streak included a win here at Darlington, so he is pumped about this place.
I think everybody just needs to respect how hard the Darlington track is to race, how much experience really counts, and how the NASCAR drivers know when and how to pass. The big change today, the biggest upset, the biggest pass it's done, of course, was Jeff Brabham. He just did a beautiful, beautiful job of passing 2 cars right in a row.
It was awesome.
If you're trying to explain NASCAR experience, though, Bobby, since the start of the show, what about that guy in the black car, Jack Baldwin? He's staying right there with their best.
Yes, he certainly is, and he's ahead of who? NASCAR's best, Dale Earnhardt.
So now Rusty Wallace closes on Mark Martin as the laps run out, 36 complete.
Rusty is gaining. Uh-oh.
And Brabham's got a problem, and it looks like an overheated engine. See some show of steam at the back of that car. Is this indicative of everybody else and what they may face?
I think that you're going to find that a lot of these engines, they got so hot the last time that they got some damage to them that they didn't have time to check on and find out what it was.
Yeah, Bobby, as we look backward from Mark Martin at Rusty Wallace, I got to believe that that's part of the reason that Dale Earnhardt slowed up a little bit there, that he may be looking at something on his temperature gauge.
Of course, at this point of the race, how much do you look down at those instruments? You just kind of go until it blows.
Well, but remember, you know, the points at the end are really the important thing. Some points are better than no points, or in other words, 3rd place or 4th place is better than winning it if it means finishing.
Exactly. A champion knows when it isn't his day, really, and he's just going to take the points. And remember, Earnhardt came in here leading the point. He'd like to win the championship. If he's just 5th or 6th today, he's probably still leading the point.
And remember, every car that came in, Sam, was pegged on the temperature gauge. Pegged. So past that, you don't know how hot they got.
Rusty Wallace trying to track down and pass Mark Martin. That battle, first to second, has pulled these 2 cars some distance ahead of Jack Baldwin and taken Dale Earnhardt out of contact with Baldwin. There you see Baldwin, and there is Earnhardt. 4 laps to go now.
Taken all in all, this IROC racing has been probably the best racing of any kind over the last 3 or 4 years. Every race contains a different matchup between great drivers. Here we have not seen this matchup in IROC for a while, and it's a thriller.
These are 2 of NASCAR's best. You know, if you think you thought you had an inexperienced guy running 1st or 2nd, you could kind of predict it. But these are NASCAR's regulars and 2 of their best right here.
And 2 of the biggest winners in Winston Cup last year now squaring off against each other. Mark Martin leading, of course, Rusty Wallace in 2nd. Both had terrific seasons last year.
So drafting really did not figure in, as you suggested, Bobby, but in this situation, having a friend there does seem to have counted for something.
It's so hard to pass at this track. Again, this is one of the hardest driving racetracks that I've ever seen in all the tracks around the country. It's a very difficult track. Experience is the total answer to this place. And today, of course, put the cooling problems in with that. And it really had an exciting race.
I think all of those problems have mixed in to give us more passing than we expected.
Well, yes, except I think Rusty Wallace's best shot at passing what might have been just when those tires were in their best possible shape right after the restart.
Well, it's decision time now, as it's about a lap and a half to go. There's 3rd and 4th, Earnhardt in 4th. If Rusty Wallace is going to make his move, he has to be thinking about it, and he's going to have to be a whole lot closer than he is right now as the white flag unfurls on the home stretch.
Yes, and it doesn't look like he's going to be able to get it done. He's going to keep trying. Rusty's not a quitter by any means. But by the same token, the tires are getting worn down. They really only have about 5 or 6 really good laps on the tires. And that's the reason that you see so much passing right after the green falls.
Mark Martin has dominated this event in both halves of it, so to speak. What a drive.
Led the most laps. Mark Martin looks for the checker. Rusty Wallace looks for any opportunity to dart to the inside and get past. He closes in 3 and 4. The checker flies just ahead. And Mark Martin takes it. He takes his win at the International Race of Champions. Followed by Rusty Wallace in second place. Jack Baldwin third. Then Dale Earnhardt and Kyle Petty. So Mark Martin wins round 2 of the IROC. He also leads the most laps and takes the extra points there.
Well, Mark Martin, congratulations. No overheating problems for you today.
No, it wasn't. This car worked perfect, and tell you what, it feels really good. The Goodyear tires worked great. I think we could have run the whole race without even stopping for tires, man. This thing was just going super, and we got a good start in the race and got our first win in IROC.